Hey guys, Jason Timothy here, musicsoftwaretraining.com, back with another video. And today we're going to get into 12 ways you can triple your productivity. And these are tips that have helped me personally to battle my own laziness, fatigue, and creation anxiety, which is definitely a real thing. And my goal is to kind of help you replace your bad habits with the good habits and give you a more kind of inspired and relaxed experience when you're creating. So the first thing that I recommend to you guys is a warm-up. So when you are first diving into committing to your music again or recommitting to your music, oftentimes you've gone a long period of time without creating. So that's kind of become a habit that you've built. So you need to kind of warm yourself into this because it's going to feel wrong to you. It's not going to feel right. You're going to feel like there's a ton of other things that you need to do that are much more important, and you're almost going to feel irresponsible doing your creative work. So you need to kind of give yourself a moment to just relax and reflect. So 15 minutes should be good for you to just kind of prepare your mind to, tell yourself, we're going in regardless. This is going to happen. After a few days of doing this to a week of doing this, it'll become much easier and you won't have that beginner resistance that you normally get when you've had a long gap between creative moments. So that's the first tip. Second tip should be really obvious, but stop checking your email and social media first thing in the day. Stop checking it obsessively. I mean, I know the triggers. We all know the triggers. And it's really easy to get addicted to checking in on a post we made, checking in to see if there's comments or replies to something. If you have an ongoing debate, which I would suggest you should stop debating people on the internet. It's going to save you a lot of your life. That is going to be incredibly important for you to be able to actually focus on music. And it's also going to give you a lot more time to actually create. All that time that you say you don't have, you'll realize how much time you're using doing a lot of stupid shit. And once again, we all do this. I'm not blaming you. This is all from personal experience. I've done all these things myself. So this is not me standing above you at all. I go through waves of being really on top of my shit, and I go through waves of not being so on top of my shit. So it's totally normal. So I would suggest that in order to remove yourself from that dopamine spike that we get from social media, because here's the thing, if we give ourselves that spike doing something stupid, we're not going to have enough motivation to get that dopamine feel-good spike in our system by doing something that's actually productive. So I'd say check your social media 2 to 3 times a day and you should be totally good. And try to set a timer as well for that. That way you just don't get lost in any rabbit holes. Number 3 is try to discover your own creative blind spots. And what I mean by that is, where are you finding the most challenges? And the best way to figure out where your challenges are most is, where do you stop in your creation process? If your goal is to finish songs, where in that process of finishing your song are you stopping? Are you stopping at the 8-bar loop point? Are you stopping a little bit after that? Are you having trouble arranging your song? Do you feel you need those extra bits in your song? Where is it that you are finding yourself stuck? By knowing this information and putting it out front, you can start focusing on it much better. And I know it seems like just knowing your blind spots is not a solution, but it actually is part of the solution, because sometimes just by recognizing it, recognizing where you stop, it can help motivate you to push yourself just 1% further than you normally do. And those little steps all add up. Number 4, steal and then replace. So if you're finding yourself stuck in certain places, oftentimes it's because you're trying to create a certain sound that you're having trouble with. Maybe you're not a great sound designer, but you've got these big ideas in your head of how you want something to sound. Instead of getting yourself stuck there, you want to be able to do something quick and move forward and get back into the things that you are good at. So when you find yourself with a lack of skill, just steal, just literally borrow or steal samples, use sample packs, borrow from other songs. If you have problems arranging your song, then steal an arrangement from another song. It could be a song in a totally different style, and that could actually work to make your song more original in some ways. Or if you want to figure out the blueprint for your style of music, the best way to do that is to steal from someone else that's already a professional at it. These are things that will help you move forward. You don't want to get yourself stuck. And by doing this repeatedly, of just finding solutions of like, I'll steal this now and then I'll replace it later. You know, you don't need to have the perfect snare or whatever right now. Just steal that snare and move on. And sometimes you're just going to keep it because everyone steals. It's just part of creation. But if you want to take time and you want to, you know, create your own sound or something similar, just to say that you did it, that's totally fine. But wait till later. Wait till later in your song process, because you want to get through the process to where you've actually got a song instead of struggling on a loop in creating just a basic groove or the right sounds. So also, stealing sounds will give you more confidence in what you're creating because you know that these sounds have already worked in other music. Okay, so don't be afraid to steal. Everyone does it, and it's a normal part of the process, and it also is a big part of learning as well. Number 5, I mentioned this once before, but set a timer. Okay, so what I would do is when you're planning a time to get to work on music, set 15 minutes just to prepare yourself. You want to do all the preparation, get everything out of the way, kind of clean your slate and prepare yourself. You can take 5 minutes of that to meditate if you want, just whatever, just kind of get yourself at like a real chill level, because you're going to be more creative when you're not stressed. So after that 15 minutes is up, then I would set a timer for 30 minutes and just commit to non-distracted work. So you're just going to push forward for 30 minutes straight in your music. And that does not include going and hunting down tutorials. None of this 30 minutes is about tutorials. If you find yourself stuck with something or want to look at a tutorial, write down what you need to look up and keep moving for those 30 minutes. And then after that 30-minute, you can take a break. You can look up a couple tutorials. And I would set a timer for that so you don't go down a tutorial rabbit hole. Just make sure that's very pertinent to the next 30-minute block you're going to do. And yeah, after each 30 minutes, take a small break and then decide whether you want to recommit another 30 minutes and just keep going that way. I think that's the best way to stay focused, because even when you're in the thick of it and you're not feeling very inspired, this will just plant in your head, it's only 30 minutes. It's fine. I can do this. I can make it through. And you'll be surprised how much you accomplish just by using a timer and dedicating to that focused time. Number 6, one task at a time. Don't multitask. Because here's the fact of the matter is, when you multitask, what you're doing is pushing multiple things forward 10% or 5%, or if you're lucky, 20%. And then you end up with 10 unfinished things instead of one finished thing. And you're probably working on things that are out of order as well. So much better to work on one thing and complete that. One finished task is much more powerful than 10 incomplete tasks. And remember, the less that you finish, the more you are creating the habit of not finishing things. And when you create that habit, it's an unconscious thing that it becomes normal for you to let things go unfinished. So one task at a time. Number 7 is write 3 tasks that you want to accomplish with your music the night before. Because what's going to happen is your brain is going to kind of simmer on this while you sleep. And this is going to help you wake up with your brain ready for the tasks ahead. This really helps unlock your creativity, and you'll be surprised how much easier it becomes if you just plant those seeds the night before. So just 3 tasks that you want to accomplish the night before is going to be a real big win. And it'll actually give you a purpose to wake up. If you're a person that has trouble waking up and you're like, why wake up early? I've got nothing that is really that important. This gives some importance to your day. Number 8, this is a big one, and one that's really often overlooked, is when you're struggling with something, just pretend that you know how. Just ask yourself, well, what would I do if I knew how to do this? And then just move forward that way. And this is going to give you so many magical moments, and it's going to unleash your creativity. Because when you're allowed to think about how you would approach something without having to look over your shoulder on how someone else is doing something, you're going to find your own path. Now, it might not work every single time you do it, but I think you'd be surprised how often, if you just take a guess, that you can work your way through problems that you don't currently think you can solve. So pretending you know how is a really great precursor to actually knowing how to get through something that you're currently finding challenging. Number 9, work on the blueprint first and the details later. Don't obsess over 1 dB of mixing a certain sound. Don't obsess over making your kick or snare absolutely perfect. You just want to get something close enough to inspire you to go the next step. And then when you've kind of mapped everything out, then you work on the details, because then you actually know how each part in your song relates to each other part. If you're doing too much mixing and obsessing over that, you don't even know if that's going to work later in the song, because you don't know what other bits and pieces those parts are going to be interacting with. So if you work on the blueprint first, you're going to have a much easier time going through, and you're going to accomplish a lot more. So don't obsess, don't go down rabbit holes. Just work on the big picture first, and then you could get to the details later. Number 10, prioritize making music above other tasks. You're always going to have tasks that are going to seem more important and more detrimental if you don't do them than making music. This is why we always push aside our creativity, because we feel it's irresponsible in comparison to all these other tasks that we have. What we need to do is start putting our music at the top of our priority list, because if we don't do that, it's never going to be a priority, and we're always going to kick it off the list. So you need to put that on the list, and eventually it will always be part of your list. You will make time, you will open space for that, and then you'll notice that all the other tasks that you were afraid you weren't going to get done because of your music, they're all just going to fall into place. And the interesting thing too is, even if you don't think you have 10 minutes to spare to make music, if you just force the 10 minutes, I guarantee within a month that 10 minutes will turn into a half hour that you didn't even know you had. So something really important for you to always keep in mind. If you're not doing your music now, there's a reason, because you're putting something else in front of it. And it's not that you don't have responsibilities, it's just that you have to put this up front, at least for a certain amount of time. Number 11, like I said before, take breaks often. You don't want to go into marathon writing sessions where you don't take any breaks, because what's going to happen is you're going to lose perspective. And a lot of times you go down rabbit holes and mixing and stuff. And if you do take a break, when you come back, you realize that what you've done is actually affecting your mix negatively, because your ears only have a certain amount of time where they're really useful to you. And then you start hearing a little bit differently. So you need to give yourself a break from the music. You need to give yourself a mental break to just gain overall perspective on what you're working on. And that's also going to keep you in a more relaxed state. The more time you work on something, oftentimes the more stress that builds up as well, because you're running into more and more roadblocks. So if you take breaks and just make things smooth for yourself, and don't overpressure yourself to just do these marathon sets of music production, you're going to have a much better experience. And the last step that I highly recommend, that has helped me triple my output, is commit to your music publicly. Publicly state what you want to accomplish. Give yourself a timeline, and let the public hold you accountable to that. Holding yourself accountable only goes so far, but when you put it out in public, you're doing a couple things. One, you are committing to a much greater level. Two, it's going to tell your mind that this really is important, and I'm more committed now because of the fact that I have broadcast this. I did something uncomfortable to force myself, and it's also going to boost your confidence overall. It's this subconscious thing of, when you commit publicly, you unconsciously are telling your brain that it's go time, and you're not going to fail. So it's really, really important that you broadcast what you want to accomplish, and don't hide it. You don't need to share your music. You don't need to, show people unfinished stuff. but it's really good to keep people updated on your progress. And this is also going to give you some positive support when you do finish your songs. Once again, don't obsess over getting a reaction, because your job is to put music out, let people judge it however they will. Once you're happy with it, once you've done the best that you can do, put it out in the world and get on to the next thing. You know, it's no longer yours once you finish it. So keep that interaction with the public. You know, if you haven't built your own audience yet, then just put it out on your Facebook page or whatever, that this is going to be something you accomplish. It's going to be scary at first, but after you do it, it will help build your confidence. So there you go, 12 ways that you can triple your music productivity. I really hope this helps. And these tips are actually part of my best-selling book, The Mental Game of Electronic Music Production. And if you're interested in that, or my second book, The Process of Electronic Music Production, that is below. You can find the link there and grab the book or check out the reviews or whatever you want to do. With that, guys, I hope this has helped you. I hope this inspires you. I hope it motivates you. Like the video, share it to anyone that you think this would benefit. And it obviously greatly benefits me when you do that. So thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.